Hi, this is Michael Franks, and you're listening to Icon Fetch.
Welcome to Icon Fetch, the web's premier music interview show. Now, here's your host, Tony Peters.
Welcome to Icon Fetch. I am Tony Peters. Now, in these turbulent times for the music business, there are a few record labels that have emerged and have tried to bring things back to what's really important, the music itself. One such record label is Resonance Records, which began as part of the Rising Jazz Stars Foundation, a nonprofit organization committed to assisting up-and-coming artists in getting their music out. Resonance has also begun releasing classic jazz performances from the past. In 2014, they released John Coltrane Offering live at Temple University, which only came out initially on vinyl, yet garnered a Grammy for Best Album Notes. Their latest archival treasure is a pair of albums featuring legendary saxophonist Stan Getz, recorded at the famed Keystone Korner in San Francisco. The first, Getz Gilberto 76, marks one of the few times that Joao Gilberto reunited with Getz after their million-selling Girl from Ipanema hit in 1964.
Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking.
The second, Moments in Time, is arguably even better, featuring a stellar trio backing Getz up. To talk about these new releases, we welcome Resonance Records Vice President and producer of these sets, Zev Feldman. Zev, how are you, man?
Hey, Tony. How you doing, man?
Hey, Zev, how are you, man? Good to talk to you.
Hey, you too. It's a pleasure. Thanks for making the time and your interest. What's happening?
Man, we're just, we're buried in a couple of inches of snow in Dayton, Ohio. That's nothing new around this time of year, so...
I'm an East Coast guy, and actually with a lot of roots in the Midwest. My grandparents are from the Midwest. But, man, I don't envy you guys, man, with the weather there. I've just been on the East Coast for 2 weeks. I actually picked up kind of a cold while I was there. And I'm just back here. I don't want to tell you how warm it is.
Right. Just rub it in, right? That's cool. So, you guys have released archival releases from Freddie Hubbard, a couple from Wes Montgomery, and now you got a pair of releases from Stan Getz. Why don't you tell me how all this came about?
I'll tell you, working on the whole project has been a labor of love and just stemming from a lot of passion. I love the original Getz Gilberto record, and for many years I worked at Polygram and Universal Music Group, and I, as a salesman, sold that Getz Gilberto record for the company, and it's one of the great albums. And trying to, working on a new edition in the series of partnerships between the two of them, it's been really exciting, and it's been a long journey. We've been working on this project for several years, and, like with a lot of the projects that we do, there's a whole level of different clearances that have to happen in procedure, and, we're in it, we're really curators. I mean, our company is very unique. We're a nonprofit foundation, and a lot of what we do is motivated totally on art, and so what if it takes 4 years to track down every person for a signature? Well, we
right.
say we'll do it. And,
right.
And it's my boss makes that possible. His name is George Klaben, and he's one of the most generous and kind guys. And he's a philanthropist. And he does this. We both of us have had a passion for jazz music since we were kids, and the fact that I'm allowed to do these kind of releases with him and then get involved on all sides of the marketing, promotion, everything, and putting them together. It's just been a dream, man.
Rosa Morena, onde vais, Morena Rosa?
So I mean, if we talk about you've got these two discs that are out, but in order to kind of understand that, we kind of have to go back a little bit and talk about the Keystone Korner. This was a pretty big jazz club in San Francisco, right?
It was, and it was, curated by a guy named Todd Barkin, a dear friend of our label, who ran the club from 1971 or 72 to 83. He had all the greats in jazz played there, from Miles Davis to Art Pepper to Bill Evans. Stan Getz, of course, and Joao Gilberto, and he really curated some incredible music, and he had these recordings. He has an archive of tapes, and when I started working at the label in 2009, we started working with him on a project of Freddie Hubbard music that came from his archives called Pinnacle, which is a wonderful recording. You should go back and check it out. Also, we did later, a couple years later, recordings of Tommy Flanagan and Jackie Byard. And we saw, when we were going through his list of archives, in his archives, we saw these tapes on the side for Joao Gilberto and Stan Getz, and he was like, well, we're not there yet. That's like that was really the crown jewel of his entire archive, and he wasn't ready to just part ways yet. We had to talk with him for a bit, and more importantly, with a lot of what we do, it's relationship building and getting a chance to people to warm up to us and get to know us for who we are. I mean, we really are music guys, and we want to do right by the music and making packages and preserving the legacy of these artists. So, but the long story short there, we worked out a deal with Todd, and then I worked out an arrangement with the estate of Stan Getz, and then I worked a deal with Joao Gilberto and his team, and we did deals with Joanne Burkeen and Billy Hart, and we were able to bring this music out. And I'm very happy, very proud. But, this is an important collaboration in music history between two of these giants and, the father of bossa nova music. Are you kidding me? Joao Gilberto is a very historically important artist, and anything that this man has, even a peep, is so important for us to listen to. And the same goes true for Stan Getz. And this is, very important music. So we're really proud.
Madrugada já rompeu, você vai me abandonar. Eu sinto que o perdão você não mereceu. Eu quis a ilusão, agora dor sou eu.
We wanted to, build a package that was really worthy of them, and I mean multiple essays. The Getz Gilberto album, we got James Gavin, who also interviewed bossa nova legend Carlos Lira. I had conversations with Joanne Burkeen and Billy Hart, where we talked about this as well and their recollections of the time. And we really tried to, and with the imagery, then we found all these photographs from Tom Copy, the staff photographer from the Keystone Korner. We were able to really build the time machine to take people back. And the same is true for our album Moments in Time, which is the same from the same week of concerts, May 11th through the 16th of 76. We made a separate recording of just the straight-ahead jazz capturing that quartet, which was really special. It's the only recording known of that group. So there's more legacy being, documented. So I'm sorry to get so long in the tooth, man. I got so much to say.
No, that's awesome. That's tremendous. No, so let's talk about the booklets for a minute, because it really kind of flies in the face of everybody's streaming music, and you've lost that connection to the physicality. And by doing this, by making these booklets, it's completely, you can't ignore it. This is if you just stream this music or just download it in MP3 form, you're only getting half the story.
It's nice of you to say. We're trying to tell the story. We're as best as we can through words and imagery to go along with that music. In fact, George Claiborne and I have been saying lately, we really have books with CDs.
Right.
And in some of our recordings, we have an upcoming release of Larry Young, the great jazz organ player, with music from Paris, from his recordings there in 64 and 65. That comes out March 11th. That has a 68-page book.
Wow.
And with, again, how many people... I try to introduce as many voices to the package that can tell the story and bring it to life and help transport people through that insight. And, also our Thad Jones Mel Lewis All My Yesterdays release, which comes out on the 19th of February, has a 92-page book.
You're right about you've got a book there with a CD as the accompaniment, you know.
But we're trying to do that. I think it's really important, and George has been so supportive of this effort, you know, and I want to tell you something. We have started a movement because, well, there are even illegal companies, bootleg guys over in Europe now, which are trying to emulate our style. They are literally doing the same sort of things with concerts with, you know, sometimes they're no-name or anonymous writers, and then they're probably using pictures that they're not even paying for the rights of.
Well, of course,
about
right.
that for a second.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
We do extensive photo research on these projects, trying to find pictures from the people that have them, interesting sorts of ephemera. It could be a picture of Wes Montgomery at a pinball machine, like I uncovered when we were working on In the Beginning project of Wes, or, you know, in the case we're producing a Bill Evans record that's going to be coming out. We're producing this for release, a studio album from 1968 that's going to come out on April 22nd.
Nice.
Actually, April 16th for Record Store Day as an LP exclusive, following week, the 22nd. But, you know, we go to great lengths to try to do this stuff, and we're trying to build the museum here and really keep this music alive. And I want to tell you something. You know, Tony, I'm an LP collector, a CD. I literally have 10,000 recordings here at my home in Los Angeles.
Nice.
And 4,000 of those are on LP. It's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Exactly.
But for me, I find inspiration in this, and I see this art, and I see it's a complete package. The music, first of all, bar none, is the most important. But we have to also, you know, build these things, and I'm just really inspired. I'm constantly we're trying to elevate the work that we're doing. I think that we've even evolved greatly from when we first launched our first historical packages, going back in 2009. With Gene Harris, we had these recordings called Live in London, and Another Night in London, and basically, we've built from there, and it's so nice and comforting. It's great to speak with guys like you that are noticing this work, and you know, we're a little nonprofit foundation here in California. There are a handful of us on the staff, and we're trying to do this work, and it's a lot, and man, I'm just so grateful to you for your time and your support, man. It means a lot to me.
You got it. Well, I mean, I'm a big vinyl guy. I don't know if I have 4,000 albums, but I have probably 2,000 or 3,000 here in the basement and CDs and everything. So to me, there is just something special about pulling the record out, dropping the needle on it, and looking at the cover art and everything. I just feel like it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like having a steak dinner, but missing all the side items and the ambience and everything else. You know, that's kind of how streaming is now. It's like, well, you go into the restaurant for the steak, so here's the steak. But you're missing all the other things that go with it that, like, makes the steak really great. So, I don't know, that's...
You know, yeah, man, I hear you. I hear you. The landscape has changed in the way that a lot of people, get music now. And, we still believe in physical over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're not going to abandon that. And we're trying to build something nice and pretty for you to be proud to have up on your wall. And hopefully we'll continue to find years of listening. But man, we're on the hunt, and we're finding things. We have some projects in the works right now which are incredible as well. And we're going to keep digging,
right.
excavating, trying to find, unearthing these tapes. A lot of people, someone was saying to me the other day, do you think there's still stuff out there? And my question is a resounding yes.
Right.
We're finding stuff every day from incredible sources. It's just about, can we get the rights?
Right. Well, I would think that as you release one, it's probably like an advertisement for other people to go, like when you do a Wes Montgomery thing, you're like, oh, well, gosh, I didn't know that was releasable. I have those in my attic somewhere. So, I don't know. I would think that there would be a little of that going on, I would think.
Yeah, well, it's interesting now. We get inquiries often. People reach out to us, and I hope that they will continue to do so. I welcome getting emails and phone calls. Hey, I know this guy that's got this recording. I mean, look, we're very selective, but it's actually put us on. We're really lucky. We put us on the map in 2012, and we've built from there. When we put out the Bill Evans Live at Top of the Gate and Wes Montgomery Echoes of Indiana Avenue, those records, I think, help establish us. And having John Coltrane's Grammy-winning album Offering,
yes,
which I can't emphasize that enough, which was a partnership with Universal Music Group, where they knew we were good to the music, and they trusted us enough to work with them on a project of that caliber. So, man, yeah.
That was awesome. That was great. So, well, let's go back. I want to talk about the individual CDs just for a minute, because
sure.
the Getz Gilberto, what I don't think people quite grasp is the fact that, okay, they did the first Getz Gilberto record in '64.
Yes.
Girl from Ipanema becomes a big hit. And you would think that, okay, you've got these two, like, pretty much pillars of bossa nova music there. You would think, well, of course, they had this huge success. Well, they collaborated, bunches of times. And that's not the case at all. That's what makes this Getz Gilberto 76 so important, is that their reunions were pretty much infrequent.
É pau, é pedra, é o fim do caminho, resto de toco, pouco sozinho. Caco de vidro, é a vida, é o sol, é a noite, é a morte, é o laço, é o anzol. É peroba do campo, nó da madeira, cainga, candeia, o Matista Pereira. É madeira de vento, tombo da ribanceira, é o mistério profundo, queira ou não queira.
Yeah, I mean, it only happened a handful of times, and in the 70s, I believe the only other time there was a tour, a very brief tour I learned of in Canada, and I think there was a thing in Montreux and then the Rainbow Room in New York, and I think it's literally been a handful of times. So I think that any time that these two giants got together, and especially having tapes of it, it's a very important musical statement. I think it's very important music. And, Stan Getz, when this music was made, he was on top of the world. He was, he was like, top, one of the most famous saxophonists in the world, and there's a reason for that. And these recordings, Getz Gilberto 76 and Moments in Time, really show him, he was a titan, this guy.
Right.
Just incredible.
Absolutely.
I had the good fortune lately of speaking with Beverly Getz, Stan's daughter, and she said to me, I'm really glad that you separated these two, because that's what my father would have wanted. He considered the bossa nova, jazz, collaborations of Joao to be one thing, and the quartet really, or in this case the quartet, it could have been other configurations, had its own identity, and he would have felt that way. And I felt that, there were two different contrasts by this genius, that show his genius. So I wanted to separate those.
And you talked about all the different projects that Resonance is working on. I mean, you guys were really, with your first Wes Montgomery release, I mean, again, you would think, well, legendary guitar player, there must be all kinds of unreleased archival footage. And yet, again, this is an example of, no, you guys have, pretty much released, this has been like a gold mine to finally get some of this Wes Montgomery stuff out to the people, especially, I mean, the in the beginning thing was just mind-blowing. All the different legwork you had to do from all those different sources,
Thank you. Oh, man, it was just a labor of love. I wanted to dig. I like to really push the envelope and go dig real deep. I mean, what can we do? Are we telling the whole story? I mean, originally in the beginning started out as tapes that we got from the family, and then all of a sudden I discovered that there were recordings in the Sony Music Archives in New York that were of the same band. I'm like, George, there's some bonus material, and then I found this and I found that. We could have kept going, but it all fits within the same framework because we found additional recordings of that same group. The point is that we really wanted to keep going, and we wanted to make something as good as it could be as for the fans, and to really great music, and then again tell the history, to be able to shed some new light. We learned a lot on that package, just like we're going to learn a lot when we talk about Larry Young coming up on March 11th for Larry Young in Paris. we're constantly trying to find new history. Is there something important that we've discovered? Well, let's talk about that. And like in the case of Larry Young in Paris, we made a revelation that he had studied with this very important piano player, a teacher by the name of Olga Van Til, who studied under Bartók. And now we were able to link a parallel in perhaps musical influence. I mean, making these kind of revelations are important in the research that we're doing. And we're trying to point that out. And, these are journeys. Each of these projects are journeys and roads that can go on. But the thing is, we uncover things along the way, and we try to write about those and just do the best job that we can to make, if somebody, listen, these days, I dispensable income for people, whether it's going to the music, people have budgets, going to the grocery store. If they're going to put down their money to buy one of our projects, I want it to be as good as it can be.
Right.
And I know from all the years, man, I mean, you're talking to the guy that, man, used to spend his paycheck at the record store.
I hear you, right. Yep.
Those Tower Records 3 for $25 deals were deadly back in the day.
Oh, man.
Speed table promos.
Right.
Oh, my God. But seriously, so we take this really seriously, the work that we do in bringing the level of integrity to this on everything. So, yeah.
Now, do you got, is there another Wes Montgomery in the works as well? I thought I remember reading in the liner notes to One Night in Indy that maybe there was another one that you were looking into.
I'm glad you brought that up. There is. And, I don't think the mass public knows this yet. I certainly haven't even drafted a press release. But we're working right now on a potential Echoes of Indiana Avenue Part 2 release. I've located... our label has found more material from those sources, and we're trying to ID it and, start the clearance process. It's a potential future release.
Okay.
And there's more Wes Montgomery there. I mean, it's incredible. Decades of, no new recordings, and all of a sudden, in the last few years, our label, how proud are we, honored to work with Wes Montgomery and his family to bring this stuff out. And we're talking with them. They're very good friends of ours. Robert Montgomery, the head of the state, is a dear friend. He's family. And we're trying to find other collaborations we can do, but there is other stuff out there. And I'd say to the fans out there, just to be patient with us. We're trying to do things the right way.
Nice,
and,
nice.
We'll have more soon, I hope.
Nice. Now, if people want to find out more about the label, the Stan Getz releases, the Wes Montgomery, and all the other things you got coming, what's your web address then?
Sure. It's www.resonance, that's RESONANCE records.org.
That's right, because you're a nonprofit, right? So.
We certainly are, absolutely.
Right. Nice. Okay. Well, that's good. That's and can they actually purchase the music like right there from the website? Kind of thing too?
Absolutely. And you can always go to iTunes and Amazon as well. And when people go to iTunes, by the way, we give them digital booklets that come with each of our records.
Oh, do you? Okay. All right. So you do. Okay.
We do. We don't like to exclude anybody from the experience. But yeah, I really appreciate it. I say check out our website, see some of the things that we're releasing. It's incredible. We have a lot of great music on there. Get a chance to dig through our catalog. You can also read album reviews, and there are links to videos. We also have a YouTube channel with several hundred videos that people can view. I would encourage people to go there on YouTube. We've got a Resonance Records channel.
Nice.
So yeah. Absolutely.
Well, nice. Well, fantastic. Zev Feldman, he's Vice President and also the producer of the new Stan Getz records, two of them there. One with the Getz Gilberto 76 and the other one Moments in Time. So good luck on that, and we'll hope to talk to you again on future projects then, all right?
Thanks for all your time and for having me today, Tony. It's really been a pleasure.
It's Zev Feldman there of Resonance Records, fighting the good fight. While most people are just streaming music, you have several labels that are still doing good work on the physical side. Zev talked about the CD booklets that they have that have extensive essays and photographs. Really begs you to actually grab the physical and really rewards you for doing it as well. So if you missed any part of this interview, want to hear it again, we have a website. It is iconfetch.com. Until next time, I'm Tony Peters. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Icon Fetch with Tony Peters. Want more great interviews? Head over to iconfetch.com. There, you'll find every interview we've ever done, plus CD reviews, This Day in Music, and a random album of the day. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Who is Tony going to interview next? It could be you. Send what you've got to Tony Peters. Icon Fetch, P.O. Box 292134, Dayton, Ohio 45429. Or email Tony at host@iconfetch.com. Until next time, this is Joe Kelly. Have a great day.